Legend has it that it was written by the Dark One.
The box. You opened it. We came.
Where are you going?
We've got to return some video.
Have you heard about this videotape that kills you when you watch it? And as soon as it's over, your phone rings. Someone knows you've watched it. And what they say is...
Due by midnight.
What's your pleasure, Mr. Cotton?
The box.
Take it. It's yours. It always was.
We are
we recording?
back. Yes.
Oh, okay. We're live. We should have one of those light bulbs where it says
That'd be
that
sick.
red light bulb. And
Yeah.
click it on.
I would always wanted to get one of those in front of my office. Just like no one will knock on the fucking door or
Yeah.
anything like that. That'd be cool. Yeah, but what's your pleasure, sir?
Yeah, so we watched Hellraiser, which was my first time of seeing it.
So initial reaction.
I would say that this is a horror movie. You know how I was saying before with The Fly, I was like, this seems more like sci-fi.
Mm-hmm.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I would say it was a horror, but kind of like silly horror almost.
Very silly.
And then this was just horror. Like, this was what I would consider a horror movie. Like, when I think of horror movie, this is it.
Yeah. And it's not the kind of horror movie that you would think that would be in the same realm as Freddy Krueger or Jason. This is like serious, dark horror movie.
Yeah, it's kind of twisted and just like more goriness, kind of like disturbingness to it.
A lot of
It's got
disturbing
a lot of maggots
scenes.
in it.
A lot of stuff on the floor and on the cabinets that drives you nuts.
Oozing goo and intestines and
Ooze is something that I think is pretty universal when it comes to just the nasty factor.
I think so, because nobody likes slime, right? When like you touch something that's slimy, it's like ew, gross. So when you see that on whatever, you're thinking the same thing. You get that kind of same reaction.
It's like when you have a fucking cut or something like that, and you pour the peroxide on it, and it fucking oozes up.
Yep.
Or a scab is coming open, and there's fucking that weird ooze that comes out of your scab.
Yeah.
It's fucking gross.
It is.
And what is it? Why is it clear coming out of the fucking scab? I don't know. You'd think there'd be blood or something coming out of there.
It's gross, though.
It's fucking nasty. So, yeah, this is the Due by Midnight podcast.
Due by Midnight, yeah.
Episode 3. We chose a really good movie for episode 3, I think.
I think so. And this is like, I think, when you have a CD or something like that, usually like the third song is like the hit song or something like that, or, kind of in there. I think this is our same type of thing. Like, this is our kind of our, what do you call that? I wouldn't say hit podcast, but this is like, the horror.
We're watching a good horror movie this time.
Yeah, this is like.
I mean, I like The Fly. Texas Chainsaws, meh.
Yeah, but like I said, Texas Chainsaw kind of silly.
But I would think this is universally loved by horror fans, and I think it's.
I can see why.
And it's funny because you guys can't see the shirt Brett's wearing, Tool or anything like that, but Brett loves the band Tool.
Love them.
And their music videos, even though I'm not a fan of them really, their music videos are always pretty fucking weird
They're
and
very
kind of disturbing,
horror-oriented
right?
Almost, right? Yeah.
And when you're watching this, it's almost like there's like a music video, I don't know which one it is, where there's a lot of reverse animation and shit of people like coming together in parts and crap.
Yeah, that's a lot of theirs, yeah.
Yeah. So that kind of reminds me of the whole
Actually,
part
you're right.
where Frank's being fucking
reformed. It looks like that because it's like they do a lot of that claymation type of animation type stuff, and that's kind of what it was. And we were talking about it, and we were saying how happy we were that we got to see that instead of like CGI, where that looked more real and more like I guess that's the only way to say it.
It just looks
real.
nasty.
Yeah, it looks
like
nasty.
It should be for something that you would think a human being reborn in fucking ooze and blood and
bubbling up and stuff.
Yeah,
it's like
yeah, it looked like the house was jizzing.
Yeah, I don't want to say that, but yeah.
Oh, so Hellraiser, 1986.
86. So I was 3 years old when this movie came out.
I wasn't born yet. Still, I wasn't born until '88. I think the first time I ever saw this, I didn't see this in elementary school. I definitely saw this by 8th grade. Okay. And I remember the weird thing about this movie compared to any other horror movie I'd seen all of the Nightmare on Elm Street at that point, Jason movies, Tales from the Crypt stuff, everything. And the first time I watched this, I was like, this is really fucking creepy. Like, this actually was like, made me feel uncomfortable as a kid that had still seen a lot of horror movies, but I was like, there's just an element about the Cenobites and Pinhead and their whole dimension of torture versus pleasure. It's like, it's also stuff I probably didn't understand as a kid, you know? I'm like, this is just fucking weird, but it's cool.
It has kind of the S&M vibe when he talks about
it's very sexual in a point where when you're in middle school, you kind of understand.
Frank keeps on saying, like, come to daddy and stuff like that, so you know that there's kind of a weird kinkiness to it too. Yeah,
stuff that you wouldn't understand, and I wouldn't recommend ever showing, I guess, to a middle school student.
Yeah,
it's kind of fucked up.
But I will say that I was expecting something totally different. Actually, I was expecting Pinhead to be more in it, because I think Pinhead's only in it for maybe 5 to 10 minutes out of the whole entire movie. Right? It's mainly about the family, kind of, and that. What's that mullet chick?
Whatever the mom's.
I don't know what her name is, but she's bringing dudes in to revive Frank and stuff. So that kind of was the whole movie, and then they throw in the daughter in there, kind of as kind of a character in the beginning, and then she becomes bigger part in the end. But Hellraiser or Pinhead wasn't really a huge part of it as far as like being involved in a lot of stuff. He came in more
not what you would think. Not what you would think compared to the poster art, where it's literally Pinhead holding the fucking box.
Yeah, I was expecting Pinhead to be going around town and wreaking havoc and just like destroying people.
Yeah, that doesn't happen really until like the third one.
Oh, okay.
where they start milking the franchise. So what I like, and what also I could definitely see being maybe a disappointment to some people, is you would think that the fucking monsters would be the selling point. Like, they'd be the whole point of the movie. But no, this movie does a very good job, I think, of combining storytelling. They don't reveal the monster story right away. It's more focused on Frank. You're very confused on what's going on if it's your first time seeing it. You're like, okay, this corpse is coming to life in this house. I don't know what's going on. These fucking other monsters, guy with nails in his head, shows up maybe once in a while, and it's not until the very end where the actual plot is really revealed of why Frank's there and how he came back and why the Cenobites are after him. They don't even know he's fucking gone at the beginning.
Yeah, which I found was a little bit weird, where they're like, nobody escapes us. But if they did...
Yeah. Well, that's why me and Brett were talking about this before we started even watching the movie. Is like, maybe we should watch 1 to 2 back to back, because 2 does a really good job of exploring the actual lore of where the Cenobites fucking live.
Alright, so let's do Hellraiser 2 next.
I mean, we can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I would like to see more of Pinhead and more of the realm that
you see a lot of the Cenobites in 2, and explores their whole dimension of where they come from.
I think that's what I was expecting out of this first one, was a lot more of that. Them getting some people getting like either sent to hell with Pinhead, or Pinhead coming to Earth.
It's not even hell where they're being sent.
Yeah, it might be heaven for some or something like that. It was just
angels to some, demons to others.
Yeah. It's great. I love that quote.
That's the cool. Best quote, I think, of the entire movie.
Yeah.
Besides, we'll tear your soul apart.
Yeah.
So yeah, Hellraiser is based off Clive Barker's novella, The Hellbound Heart, that he did in 1986.
Wait, say that again? Clive Barker's...
Novella.
So like a book.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he published it in...
Novella, is it like in Spanish?
Or did he publish it in 1984? Shit, I don't know. I'm going to restart that. So, Hellraiser is based off Clive Barker's novella, The Hellbound Heart.
So, let's go back to the word novella. What is the difference between a novella and a novel or a book?
A novella is a shorter novel.
Okay, so almost...
Like a novel would be like Stephen King's books where they're
So it's like
big.
500 to 600 pages
Yeah,
or something.
yeah.
Novella would be like 250, 300 pages.
I think novels like over 1,000 pages.
Oh, really?
And
shows how much I read.
but
books.
it could also be something else. Someone else will correct us, I'm sure.
Yeah, if it's on the internet.
It's
People
on the internet.
love to correct.
People will correct us, especially when it comes to this, because you know that there's
Excuse me.
people are like, "Oh, a Hellraiser podcast episode? Wow, these guys don't know shit."
And I'm not claiming to know shit.
Neither do I. I've only watched the movies. I didn't read either of the books. I'd like to. The artwork on both of the books that Clive Barker wrote are just as creepy as the artwork that you see on Hellraiser.
I gotta say, having Pinhead, like, the concept of Pinhead is really cool. The concept of having this guy with nails in his head
The
is
Cenobites.
already scary. And, yeah, the Cenobite, that chatter thing.
Yeah, the Chatterer.
Yeah, like I said, that looked like something from Resident Evil. It's like this weird...
Yeah,
like,
he looks like Nemesis.
Yeah, but it was before that, right? So
Way before.
I think they took a little bit of Hellraiser in Resident Evil.
So that's a thing I also want to touch on is a lot of the shit like body horror, right? This what we were talking about, I think in the first episode.
Yep.
Body horror. Body horror is very fucking creepy because you're used to seeing monsters get blown up, aliens get blown up. When you're seeing the human body being dismembered
Yeah.
or transformed in a way where it's unnatural to where it's disgusting,
Yeah.
it's very much freaky because it's more real.
Yeah.
You're used
and you
to
can imagine
seeing-
it happening to yourself. You know, you've had pain happen to yourself, and
Right.
you can think of, oh my gosh, if my knee got bitten that way, ow, how would that feel?
Yeah.
It's like you can. It's almost like empathy pain, you know, like that sympathetic pain.
Mm-hmm.
It's like watching that, feeling what they're feeling just by watching it.
And another thing is, I think that a lot of body horror was taken from Japanese horror movies. Japanese horror movies like Tetsuo the Iron Man, which you've never seen.
Nope.
I cannot wait to show you that movie because
Okay.
that is before this and really fucked up. Like that's body horror to the almost extreme, and it's shot in the same way that Human Centipede 2 is. It's all in black and white.
We should, I mean, honestly, we should really watch Human Centipede 2 again.
Do a whole episode on it
Just
again.
watch it again and try it, yeah.
Okay, so this is what I would like for the
Maybe we'll have like
audience.
that be a bonus episode or something like that.
Either bonus episode or one day we can, because a thing on Twitch now is you can have watch parties with your fucking audience.
Oh,
where
that's
you
cool.
you start watching a movie and have a time, and it's like almost like
That would be
set
really
your watches.
Cool to have
We
people,
all
like,
watch it
commenting
together.
as we watch it together.
Yeah.
That'd be sick.
So we could do a live stream and watch that movie because me and
Is
you've
anybody
seen
even
that.
listening to us right now? Like,
Yes.
people?
So I didn't want to get to this yet. Brett brought it up. Brett made what was the thing that we brought up on the second episode, or was it the first
About the
episode?
Instagram, or-
Yeah, about your social media,
So,
right?
50 viewers.
50
or
listeners,
50
right?
listeners, yeah.
So we've already broken that by
What?
a bunch. And we have listeners outside of America. We have listeners in Austria, we have listeners in Canada, and in America. So-
Austria, where all the kangaroos are.
Is there kangaroos in Austria?
No, that's Australia. That's
I was like-
that's what the joke is.
I was like, Austria? That's where Schwarzenegger's from.
Yeah.
Yes.
I always mixed that up when I was younger. Austria and Australia. I mean, they sound alike, right?
Yeah.
I always thought they were the same place.
Except for one has Kangaroo Jack and the other one has...
Well, Australia has fucking everything that will kill you.
Yeah, dingoes ate my baby.
Just dingo ate your baby.
Oh, Kangaroo Jack. That's a good movie. I don't know why people
Kangaroo
hate Kangaroo
Jack.
Jack.
Kangaroo.
It was
Jack.
like a comedy in the
Man,
2000s.
Yeah, I remember it. I saw it, but I honestly don't
Had
remember
Christopher
very much of
Walken.
it. Really?
Yeah. He plays the mob boss.
All right.
It's very
That was like, it was like a kid movie, right? Like, it's like
kinda.
PG or something.
It's weird because you watch it. It is a kids movie. This is such an offshoot. It is a
right.
kid,
I would do that.
it is a kids movie, but there's like a lot of weird stuff in there that you would think is like, okay, this was definitely at the time where it's like they definitely made jokes for adults in there. There's a
yeah.
dude that like grabs a chick's
There's a lot
tits
of stuff like that.
because he thinks she's a
What?
he grabs the chick's tits. The chick that's also
sexual
in
assault.
Planet of the Apes remake with Mark Wahlberg.
Uh huh.
Grabs her tits because he thinks that she's what the fuck is it? I don't, not a hologram. Why do I want to say hologram? He's hallucinating because he's in the desert.
Okay, a mirage.
A mirage. He's like, this dream feels so real. As he's grabbing her tits.
That's in Kangaroo Jack?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Okay. That's interesting.
Yeah. Anyway.
That has to do a lot with Hellraiser.
Not really, but... Wow. The Hellraiser movie came out 2 years after his book, which is a very fast turnaround when you think of a horror novel turned into a movie. That is like a huge turnaround, which I don't know, just shows that how good the actual novel was.
Did you read the book?
No. I already said I haven't read either one of the books.
Oh, you just watched the movies. You didn't read the books at all.
Right.
Is that normal? Like, I feel like you
That's
read
not-
most of the books.
That's not normal.
Yeah.
Normally for me, I haven't read anything Clive Barker's ever written. Unfortunately, I always had Stephen King books. I always was out of my way to buy Stephen King books and read them. And I think because I got into Stephen King so young, I got into Stephen King by the time I was in 5th grade.
Okay.
And I was reading Stephen King books, and they were and the movies were coming on TV. And I was like, wow, this is really cool. And for any kid, well, I don't even know how many kids would be listening to this, but don't ever think that you could get out of a book report. Do they even do book reports anymore? By watching a movie.
I did. Scarlet Letter. No, what was it?
Scarlet Letter was
I think
a
it was
big
Scarlet
book,
Letter.
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't
There was
remember ever
some-
seeing a movie on it.
I can't remember what it was now. But there was a bunch
The
of...
Grapes
there was
of
a couple
fucking
different-
Wrath or some shit.
There was a couple different books where I watched the movie, and I just wrote the report on that. And it definitely got me a C, but like if you want to get a good grade on it, you probably have to read the book.
Yeah.
But the thing is I hate reading. I mean, all of you out there don't know this, but I hate reading.
He really does.
I
He can't
do.
play. He can't play the Fallout games.
I can't play any game that requires massive amounts of reading.
Even though I don't.
I wouldn't even call it massive.
I don't
Minimal
know.
amounts of
Yeah.
reading.
Even though I don't understand that, like the Fallout games, it's like a few sentences
Yeah.
per response.
It's not fun to read, though.
Yeah.
It sucked. That's just... I've always hated reading, though. Like, I had a lot of trouble reading when I was growing up.
A
so
lot
I
of
think
people
that
hate
just-
reading.
Yeah.
I know more people.
There's a lot of people that love reading, though. Like, I'm actually the only one in my family, like my immediate family, that doesn't like reading. My sister loves reading. My brother loves reading. My mom loves reading. Like, lots of people just get a lot of joy and entertainment out of reading and being able to imagine things, and I don't do that. It's just, it seems like a lot of labor for what I have
know
to do.
more people who hate reading than like reading.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I think the biggest reason why I like reading so much, and this is kind of a weird thing to even bring up on a podcast, because I was grounded so fucking much and was never allowed. I would be grounded to the point where I would never ever get to get off my bed unless I had to piss, right? So the only thing I'd be allowed to do is fucking read. Don't get off your bed unless you're fucking reading a book. Don't do anything else. So I'd always be fucking reading. Always. So I think that's where it came from. And then when I found Stephen King books, I was like, okay, I can really get into this because this is fucking scary. And The Shining was the first one that I ever fucking read.
So your parents didn't care about you reading Stephen King or horror books or anything
No,
like that?
fuck no.
Did they even monitor at all what you read?
No. If they did, you know that one really fucked up weird book, The Child Called It? I read that in like, oh, dude, that's a fucked up book. I read that, I don't know, by like 6th grade, 5th grade maybe. That was a fucked up book. But
What was it about?
it's like a true life story about a kid that was like abused by his mom.
Ugh, that sounds awful.
It was really bad.
That's depressing as hell.
It was bad. But because of that, because I was always grounded and I was always reading, I guess that was like my escape. That and video games when I got to play. So
I could see that being an escape, definitely. Like, it's just you in a book, and you're in your own world, right? Like, you're making your own world, reading the words, and it being in your imagination, and take hours and hours out of your time.
And a lot of Stephen King's books, well, at least a few of them, focus on kids going on adventures and something fucked up happening. A Stand By Me, Salem's Lot, The Shining. all books that have fucking like kid-focused things that happen.
Right.
And I remember, you know, being a kid, when we were kids, you could go on fucking adventures and not come home until dark, you know?
All the time.
Yeah. And sometimes you'd see weird shit.
Yep.
So, that's why I loved reading, especially Stephen King stuff. Anyway. The reason why this movie, I think, is also very respected with people that like horror films is because Clive Barker had full control of the movie rights, directing rights, and script rights for the first two films.
I think that's how it should be for anybody that like makes a book and turns it into a movie. They should have full control of what goes on, because that's like their creative baby. Like, that's what they created, right? So they should have a say in what happens.
I agree with that to a point, but what happens when you have authors who don't want anything made of their books? Like, say, Tolkien. Like, Tolkien was dead before any shit came out of his fucking books.
Yeah.
You know? Or if
obviously we can't have, unless we have a seance or something, you can't have their input, right?
But I mean, how old was The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings by the time they finally got fucking movies? You know, it wasn't until like the 70s where they got computer animated movies.
Right. 70s they had that Hobbit movie or whatever.
Yeah, and Lord of the Rings.
They did? They had the Lord of the Rings?
I have it on VHS.
Oh. VHS, guys. VHS.
But I don't know. I think to a point, because it also, you know, Hollywood doesn't like to lose money, right?
No, I don't think anybody likes to
the point of making a movie is you want to make money.
Generally, unless it's like an artistic project.
Generally.
For the most part.
But Hellraiser's budget was $1 million.
That's all.
Which is really cheap still.
That was in the 80s, but still that seems like pretty minimal.
I mean, when you think
like
the last movie we did, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, was $600,000.
Yeah, but you could tell.
You could definitely tell, but this is only $400,000
for $1 million
more.
And the effects that were, like we were just talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we didn't even talk about how awesome I thought Frank was, like when he first came to life, and the way his mouth moved and the way he looked was just amazing. Like,
yeah, Frank was awesome.
That's a good idea.
What?
Shutting that. Hopefully, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't want the waterfall noise. I just thought about that for a second. It's probably not the
okay. Yeah,
maybe,
but hopefully not. Otherwise, everybody's annoyed.
I mean, it's not as annoying as our first episode when we had the fucking fan come on.
The fan and the echoing and stuff like that.
Whatever.
Yeah, whatever. I mean, what I was saying was, like, Frank was the makeup, or what do you, it was the prosthetics?
The prosthetics.
Yeah, that looked so awesome. That looked super cool. Way better than CGI, and like they had a lot of that stuff actually. Like when he was coming to life, and there was the ooze and the bubbling and all that. Like, and every stage of him absorbing a person, his fucking body changed. Yeah. So that's different prosthetics every time. Yeah. Which is pretty badass. So yeah, the budget was $1 million, and in their opening weekend they made almost $5 million. Okay, so I mean, they got their money back, but at the same time, it's not for 86, especially when they're on like what, the third Jason movie and the third Nightmare on Elm Street. It's not a huge commercial success compared to other horror movies of that time. Oh, really? Okay. Yeah, I didn't know that. So, but would you consider Hellraiser on the chart of like fanatics of horror movies? Would you put Hellraiser above Jason and Freddy, or would you put it like below? I'd put it in the top 5. Top 5. Pinhead would be in the top 5 of all horror movie, I think. Characters, especially. I think it's one of those movies, and one of those characters that became really popular after the movie came out. When it became out on VHS and DVD, that's when he became like really relevant. But I definitely think if you were to ask hardcore horror fans if they were like name the top 5 monsters in horror, Pinhead would be in the top 5. I would say the look of Pinhead is just freaking awesome. I've always thought that Pinhead was a fucking really creepy looking guy with all these nails in his head, and they got it partitioned with like the squares and stuff. Like, it's just a creepy looking dude. He looks like a S&M, like
the leather fucking clothes that they all wear, all the shit, the fucking like all the bloody rags covering up their nipples or their genitalia or something like that. It's always it's fucking weird.
It's weird and creepy, and
yeah,
that's kind of what you want in horror.
And it's
right?
also weird because it's like that's real fetish with people, which makes it more creepy.
It is, yeah. And they had the whole daddy thing, which like plays into the fetish thing. But I think there was actually like some S&M sexual undertones in this movie.
There's a lot of sexual undertones in this movie, and I'm not claiming to say that this podcast is fucking politically correct. We all know that Clive Barker. Everyone that knows anything about Clive Barker knows that Clive Barker is gay. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but we know that the Cenobites come from a place called like the Bloody Gash. And when I think of the Bloody Gash, it's like something you call a woman's pussy. You know what I mean? It's like it's a very raunchy. Hellraiser is a very raunchy movie altogether.
Yeah.
I haven't read the book, but I'm assuming it's very raunchy as well. Maybe even more so. Just like Stephen King's books are more in detail than his movies are.
Yeah.
But, I mean, these fetishes are real.
Yeah.
These weird torture, pleasure fetishes that we even talked about, I think, last podcast, where people like... There's been cases where... people pay someone to slowly kill them and eat them for a sexual get-off.
Yeah.
It's fucking weird.
It's weird, but it is there, right?
It exists.
Yeah.
I think I even remember, like, listening to either a podcast or reading about something in, like, Russia, where a guy was, like, just paying some dude to slowly eat him alive.
I heard about that.
Yeah.
I'm burping.
It's all right. Burp it, man. We're drinking actual Sacramento beer today.
Deftones beer. And Deftones are from Sacramento.
The Belching Beaver Phantom Bride India
Pale Ale. It's good. It's good stuff, man. And I'm not a huge Pale Ale fan, but like... Oh, actually, Pale Ale I like. It's India Pale Ale that I'm not a huge fan of, but this is good.
You know what I would really hope for our podcast? I hope we get sponsored by a local brewery.
That'd be cool.
That'd be fucking sweet.
We would save so much money.
Yeah. If you want to sponsor your beer on our podcast, contact us at www.dobymidnight.com. Sorry, man, I'm already kind of like...
We'll definitely plug it every
stumbling.
5 seconds, and we'll be like, this Pale Ale is great.
Speaking of which, actually, this is a perfect segue into our sponsor that we need to plug.
Oh, we have a sponsor.
We do.
All right, cool.
So, Brett.
Yes.
You know when I was making a website for our podcast?
I do remember that.
And I was doing it for the specific possibility for us to get our podcast onto iTunes. I spent all day busting my booty.
You were working hard.
To get that podcast up on iTunes, and it took forever to get that crappy RSS feed up and all that crap. Well, guess what?
What?
With Anchor, you don't need to do that.
No?
Anchor.com is a app that you can use on your phone that you can upload your podcasts for free.
For free?
For free.
Awesome.
And they put it out to every single place where you could have your podcast known. Spotify, iTunes, all these places.
It's a one-stop shop. It's like you just
one-stop
throw
shop.
it in there and it goes to all those places.
One-stop shop, free to make a podcast. You don't have to sit there and build a website. You don't have to sit there and, especially with someone that doesn't know anything about building websites, clunk along, and type on your keyboard all day to get this stuff out here. So I would say, anyone that wants to make a podcast and wants it out there for everyone almost instantaneously, go with Anchor.
Anchor.
The sponsor of the Do by Midnight podcast.
That's awesome, man. Anchor. That sounds actually very useful.
They anchor themselves in to all the podcast platforms.
Which makes sense why they're called Anchor.
Anchor. Great sponsor.
Build your podcast.
Build it today.
All right. That was cool. That was a fun promo.
Submit. Submitting your ad. There we go.
There you go.
Hell yeah!
All right.
Activate in all episodes. Yes. Thank you to everyone that listened to us record our very first sponsorship by
Thanks
Anchor.
to everybody who's listening. That's it's so awesome that you
I
guys
know.
are listening.
And-
I'm like super surprised and happy that people are listening. And I would love to hear from you guys any questions that you have because I love to answer questions.
Well, by the end of this, we do already have listener mail and listeners
Yes?
submitted questions.
Can I go to the bathroom?
Yes.
I'll be right back. I'm actually happy with that freaking promo, dude.
I like it too.
Cool.
It's actually it's honest and it's off the cuff.
Yeah, we're just having fun with it, right?
Off
You can tell.
the cuff.
Sweet.
That pays for our year that we paid for the domain.
There we go. Awesome.
Okay. Let's bring up the show notes. I don't even know where we left off. We were talking about the opening, how much money it made.
Okay.
Because movie companies don't like to lose money, but we said that Hellraiser at the time was not a super profitable
Wouldn't
horror
call it
movie.
like a super success.
No.
But there's tons of movies like that where they didn't do well in the box office and then become cult classics. Like Big Lebowski, for example, did horrible in the box office, and then that's like one of my favorite movies almost.
But by me too. But by that time, we even wanted to start a bowling team. Remember?
Yeah,
which
I
I
still
still
do.
think we should.
I think we
Dude,
should
by your
too.
house, there's a bowling alley.
My house?
Yes,
What?
it's right down the street.
I have not seen that. Really?
There's a bowling alley right down the street from your home.
I didn't know that. I
Dude,
didn't know there
okay.
was a roller rink.
Dude,
We should totally get a league going. That'd be
we
super
should.
Cool.
That'd be fucking sweet.
Yeah, I'm so down.
So, yeah, compared to other horror movies, Hellraiser was not a huge success in the box office. Hence why it didn't seem very profitable to Hollywood. I mean, you wouldn't really know that by knowing how many fucking sequels there are now.
Yeah.
There are 10 movies.
Okay,
Including this one. 10 Hellraiser films.
Jeez.
And the only two that I think are worth a crap are the first one and the second one.
Right.
The rest of them are for comedic value, except for the last, two in the franchise. The last two in the franchise are just bad and
awful.
painful to
Yeah.
watch. They're the ones that are, literally grabbing the teat of the film and pinching it to a point where it's purple and blue and you just don't want to look anymore.
Sucking everything that you can get out of it.
Yeah, it's just
That's
bad.
it.
Bad.
That's where they take the movie and throw it into the ground, or it's one of those NFL quarterbacks that just doesn't know when to quit, and they just keep on going and going and going, like
Yeah.
Brett Favre. on the
Brett
Vikings.
Favre, I was going to say the same exact thing. Except Brett Favre, at least he had the killer instinct.
Yeah, he was fun to watch at least, right?
Yeah.
He would do these crazy passes. Yeah, he'd get intercepted sometimes, but then he would also make those awesome plays where you're just amazed that he did
Unlike
that.
this, it was just like, that South Park episode where they're raping Indiana Jones. It's like
That's right, yeah.
it's like they're raping
Yes,
Pinhead.
yes.
Which he might like,
That's a great
I don't know.
example, yes, that's for sure.
So, on IMDb, Hellraiser has a 7 out of 10.
Okay.
Not bad.
I would actually give it a little bit higher myself.
Okay, what would you give it?
I'd give it an 8.
An 8.
Yes.
A solid 8.
A solid 8. 7.5 for the others.
Yeah.
I haven't gone above 7.5 yet. But this one I would say 8 because I would consider this a true horror movie, right? It's got everything that I would consider horror. It's got kind of like this villain, evil character with Frank. It's got the kind of gore and grossness of
Disturbing, twisted
yeah, exactly.
stuff.
Then it's got this demonic element with Pinhead and the Cenobites. It's kind of got everything that I would consider a horror movie.
And Cenobites, it's hard for me to even consider them as villains. They're
Yeah.
just doing their job.
I would agree with you. I didn't say I said Frank was the villain.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even consider them the villains because they're just what they are. They're like ants or mosquitoes. They're just doing what they do.
Which I know a lot of you are probably screaming at your radio or wherever you're listening to this right now on your phone that I know that the Cenobites are more than that, but Brett's never seen the sequels.
I haven't. This is the first time I've ever seen anything with Hellraiser or Pinhead, or I haven't read any of the books, and I'm not really
not gonna read the books.
I'm not going to. And I'm not super up to date on any horror movies or films, and that's kind of the whole thing with this podcast, right? We got the expert and the idiot. So
I don't even know if I'm an expert, but I've watched a lot of shit. But at the same time, I know that the Cenobites are. You know how Frank escaped their fucking universe, right?
I don't.
Well, he talks about escaping.
Well, yeah, but he doesn't say like how he did or anything like that.
No, but he escaped.
Yeah, somehow.
And
Pinhead's like,
Pinhead,
nobody escapes.
Pinhead was a person at one point. It's just not revealed in this movie.
Oh, okay.
All the Cenobites were people at one point, and the universe that they come from, or the thing that's inside the box, dimension of hell or whatever.
Yeah, they actually never even use the word hell ever.
They don't.
They just say it's like this dimension between of pleasure and pain.
Yeah. Travelers to
Although
some.
I didn't see any pleasure.
It's those seeking pleasure through pain.
Okay. But if you're not seeking pleasure through pain, it's just pain.
Yeah. And their universe is like, well, see, we can't even delve into this yet because you never saw the sequel is where they really break it down. They really, really break down the whole.
I'm actually more interested to see the sequel.
Yeah,
because I've seen this one. I'm kind of got some questions and like I want
to
dive more deep into Pinhead and his dimension.
It's almost genius because it's like they got you with a little, like they give you a little taste.
They give you a little taste of Pinhead. Like I was saying, he's like literally only in it for 10 minutes. I think. If you count up all the time that he's in it, maybe 10 minutes, maybe even less.
Maybe less. I think.
Maybe even 5 minutes. I don't know.
Yeah.
But he's so interesting, and
there's built-in lore that you don't.
The biggest
see.
quote out of the entire movie comes from him.
Yeah.
So like, you just want to see more of him and more of what he's about and why and his story, right? I want to see more of his story.
Right. Right. And you do see that in the second one, and it's why I think the second one's only a little bit stronger than the first one, but Pinhead is just, he's so good in that way in the first one where the fact that they can make a first movie, you know nothing about the character, but he's so fucking creepy and cool, and he says such cool stuff that alludes to something that you have no understanding of that makes you want to know more is why I think that Clive Barker...
That's what it is. He wants to make you know more. He says these things that you're like, what does that mean? Like, what's the story behind what he's saying? Because that's freaking awesome.
That's why I think Clive Barker is a genius with the stuff that he writes. Stephen King read Clive Barker's book. And he has this quote that says, I've seen the future of the horror genre, and his name is Clive Barker.
Well, that's come from Stephen King.
Yeah.
It's pretty high praise right there.
That's extremely high praise. Like, I couldn't imagine. I'd shit my pants if Stephen King said something about that I wrote. And when you watch the interviews with Clive Barker, when he's talking about this movie, he really wants you to understand, like, this is going to be disturbing. He really wants you to know that, like, the stuff that came out of his mind for this fucking book and this movie is, like, it's gonna fuck you up. Like, that's what he wants to happen.
Right.
And I could imagine, especially in 1986, when you're used to seeing other slasher films of the genre, this is not like that.
It's not really a slasher. I mean,
No.
It's definitely got violence and, like, evilness to it, but not a slasher as far as they're running away and trying to get away from this, like, villain or anything like that. It's almost like luring in people. Like that chick with the shoulder pads, I forgot her name, but with the mullet. She's luring in people.
She's a predator.
Yeah, exactly. She's bait. She's bait for Frank. And they just lure him in so he can regenerate.
And we're bait as the audience.
Yeah.
We want to know more.
Yeah. And we don't really know much about Frank either, though.
No. And the funny thing is you never really know much about Frank.
No.
Even in the sequel, you don't. Frank's just kind of like...
Like, why did he go for that thing? He's just like this guy that just wants pleasure or wants to find...
What you learn in later movies is that the box and we're watching the movie like we were last time, where it's behind us right now. I want to comment on this girl's...
can we comment on this chick?
This chick's... the main chick's clothes. Why is she wearing a giant polo shirt with a leather jacket?
It's awful. This girl has no sense of style, and later on she changes into other clothes, and at one point she looks like she's wearing a bed sheet, and I don't know. It's a tragedy because she's beautiful, and she really should not be wearing this stuff. And I'm not one to comment on females' clothes or how they dress, but this is so atrocious.
I mean, she didn't try here. She looks like she's frumpy as fuck.
Yes. Which is bad, because she's a very pretty girl.
Like, she went for the shittiest 25-cent rack at the thrift store.
Yeah.
And just threw herself together.
And then she threw on some leather jacket.
And these fucking moving guys right here are so goddamn creepy.
Lunch. Dad.
Kirsty.
Hi.
Hello, sweetie. Come here.
And the dad is just like such a chode dumbass.
Dad is a huge chode.
Like, do you like this house that has fucking rot all over the place?
Man, I just don't understand why they moved into this place. I know it's the mom's place or whatever, but like that doesn't mean you have to move into this old decrepit house.
And the third floor has like a fucking burnt out room
with maggots and
rats
everywhere.
Yeah. Like, I like how they skip forward past they had to clean the kitchen. Like, imagine how long that had to fucking take. And like, I mean,
and windows everywhere. Like, look at this scene right here. You can see like 10 windows right here.
Yeah, there's a window on the door. There's a window in the back room. There's a window on the second or third floor where the windows are on the floor.
Yeah, but the weird thing is none of the windows are clear.
No, you can't open any of them either.
They're all like this whitish.
They're just
remember that part.
Tinted fucking church windows. And this is very much a porno scene right here.
And then Frank,
Frank's a pimp.
I don't understand why this chick just like... This chick is just a complete slut. That's what she is. She just...
I don't understand what the sexual attractiveness is about the stepmom.
Yeah, well, it's gotta be the mullet, man. They love the mullet, apparently, back then.
When I look at 80s women... There are a lot of hot and attractive 80s women you look in pictures. Like, the 80s style, I still really, really, really love. And I wish that I could go back and see the shit. And sometimes when I see women that are dressed up and do their hair still in the 80s fashion, I'm like, man, that's pretty awesome.
I don't like it. I don't like the big hair.
Yeah.
I don't like big hair. I don't like perms. I like... usually like kind of straight hair, flattish hair, just longer flat hair. I've never liked the big volume, and that's what 80s was all about. Huge volume of hair. You know,
maybe that's why when I was in high school, when scene girls and shit like that took over, you remember?
Scene girls?
Like scene girls, emo girls, whatever you think.
Oh, scene girls.
Where they did their fucking hair all big. Mm-hmm. It was like just a different version of an 80s style haircut. I was like, this is fucking awesome. And they're doing their makeup the same way that you would see women do their makeup in the 80s. It was hot at the time. Still hot. But, I don't know. This mom, though, is not any of that. She's she's got a mullet. She's
unattractive in every way possible.
And she wears man's clothes.
Yeah. She's got shoulder pads there, too. At every scene, she's got shoulder pads.
I mean, you can see it through her white shirt that there's a shoulder pad.
Yeah.
And why we were talking about it is that shoulder pads for women in the 80s or even in the 90s at that point also was because in the workplace women weren't taken serious at the time.
That's just such a weird concept to me that they had to make themselves look more like men with broad shoulders. It's so weird.
It was the time.
I guess so.
It just was the time.
I was so young back then that it never registered to me.
My mom, I remember my mom wearing jackets that had shoulder pads.
Yeah, my mom had shoulder pads in some of her clothes too, and I never understood it, even back then.
Imagine being that sex in the 80s and you're like, man, I have to dress like this to fucking be taken seriously at work?
It's a weird thing, yeah.
It is weird. I mean, there's a lot of... You could look it up in the 40s.
I'm glad that's gone now.
In the 50s. Yeah, I'm glad about it, too. In the 40s and 50s, there's a ton of propaganda, like, training videos that you see of, like, man, I have a woman that works with me. I'm going to HR. I need a man for this job.
Really?
Yeah, there's a ton of them. A ton.
That's funny.
But unfortunately, the stepmom in this movie does not look like a woman, in my opinion. But...
Nah. As far as horror movies go with women, usually there's kind of sexiness to horror movies, right?
And especially in all the Jason
some type
movies.
of gratuitous nudity or sexiness to it. This lady is
in all the Friday the
opposite.
13th movies, except for maybe the first one, but all the rest of them, it's like there's tits, there's horror, there's sex, and there's comedy. This is for some reason turning me on strangely as I'm watching it, and it's cool.
Yeah, I'm laughing and getting an erection.
Yeah. Another fun fact about Hellraiser: when Clive Barker first showed the film to his mother, she was crying tears of joy when she saw his name in the credits at the beginning.
All right.
He leaned over to her and said, and whispered to her that this would be the happiest she would be for the next 2 hours. Meaning, after the credits, there's no joy to be seen.
Yeah. Makes sense if you're showing it to your mom.
I think that's fucking awesome.
That's pretty funny.
That's savage as fuck when you're going to tell your mom, be like, you know what? I made a movie so fucked up. The only happy part is.
But I think that also goes to show that he's kind of got a cool relationship with his mom too. That you could say that, right?
Yeah.
Like, honestly, I probably wouldn't ever say that to my mom. Like, I wouldn't want to like piss her off or anything like that. Be like, this is the happiest you're going to be in the next 2 hours.
Clive Barker's also from England.
Which so this is set in London.
Yeah, this is set in London.
And we took a little bit to figure that out, actually.
Yeah,
because
like,
we were like, where
why
the hell
does
is this
everyone
place?
have accents except for Kirsty, the daughter, and the dad? Which, when I'm also looking at it in the background, when she's walking around the streets and the nuns look at her like, what the fuck? They don't stop and help her. You could tell this is kind of like set in the UK because of all the fucking brick houses everywhere.
Yep. Thing is, like,
It's
there's
all
not a whole lot
reverse
of
motion.
There's not a whole lot of blood here, though, right? That like drops out and that revives Frank.
It was just enough.
And then like 3 other bodies later, and he's got an ear. Like, I feel like he should have regenerated more with 3 other bodies with all the blood. If we're going on a mathematical equation, at least, like, the amount of blood that should have been taken.
I mean, but you
seems
saw
like
that guy.
regenerated.
You said it when we were watching the movie. It was like, what was he doing with his fucking hand? Was he waving it around? Why? Even I was like, why would there be so much blood from hitting your hand on a fucking nail?
Yeah.
Where there's globs of
Tons
it
of blood.
pouring on the floor.
And it wasn't even the sharp part of the nail. It was the head of it.
Yeah.
It was the
Like
the part they hammer in.
I could totally picture moving furniture and hitting your hand on a fucking nail. It wouldn't feel good. It might cut you, but it's not going to be the point where half your fucking hand is cut off. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
With the amount of
He
blood.
got, like, sliced by like a knife or like a piece of glass or something. Not a nail that was just like kind of protruding.
And this is the part where the house starts resurrecting Frank, or Frank just resurrecting himself. Which also is not a very well explained thing of why, in the movie at least, why Frank, I don't know if they explain it in the book, I never read it.
Yeah, I was wondering that too. Like, why did Frank get out of that place? Just because blood falls on the house, they don't explain how that would translate to him getting out of wherever he was,
Whatever
sent to whatever
dimension
dimension he was in, right? So, like, why is he connected to this house, first of all? So they don't really explain that well, but as far as, like, there's certain things that you gotta just give them leeway with.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when you watch an action movie or a sci-fi movie, there's certain things that you just gotta give leeway with. And a horror movie, I would say that this is one of them that you
Horror
would say,
movies, I give a lot of leeway.
yeah, you just gotta say, okay, if I question and make it too logical, then
it's not a movie
fun.
anymore.
Yeah, it's not fun anymore, right? So
I'm
you just gotta
watching something
accept
about
what's
horror.
going on. Just give me some general explanation of what it is, and then I'll accept it, and then I can go on. And then just
and I think
be
this is some of
entertained.
the best, like, some of this is all reverse animation, right?
Yeah.
Like, this whole thing was, like, either made of wax or some shit in layers, where they melted it down.
It looks really freaking cool.
But
It
it
looks
looks
so cool.
awesome when it's in fast motion, or forward motion.
Yeah.
It looks great.
Very gooey.
Yeah. That's a lot of slime.
It's a lot of slime.
With only a little bit of riblets. And little fingers. How did he grow fingers, but probably not his dick? That's what I want to know. If you're growing extremities and you don't have a cock...
Asking the important questions.
I don't know. I mean, when you think you're coming back from the dead, like, I don't need my pinky. I could grow my dick back, please.
I could hop around on one leg, just please. Just
and you would think for Frank, that would be in his nature to be like, give me my cock.
That's his whole thing, right? He was just like this sexual deviant that slept with his brother's wife.
So Pinhead, the prosthetics just for Pinhead alone took Doug Bradley 6 hours in prosthetics just to become Pinhead. So I can't imagine how many hours it took to make the other guy,
Frank and stuff,
into the shit that he was in.
Yeah, because Frank was really good as far as, in my opinion, they did a great job on what Frank looked like.
I agree.
Pinhead was awesome just in the fact of what he was. Like, he just looks freaking cool. But Frank morphed every time, right? He was different every other scene or something. Yeah,
every other scene, it's after he's absorbed a body and his transformation has become a little bit more defined.
Yeah.
He's got some more muscle, or he's got some more skeletal.
Or he's got some
features.
ears now.
Or he might have a cock. I don't know.
Who knows if he has a cock? We didn't see it.
I mean, by the end, he definitely has a cock, which is weird when you think about it. It's like when he takes the dad's skin at the end.
Yeah, which is weird because he doesn't take anybody else's skin. Like, why does he take his dad's skin?
Did he take the dad's skin and wrap it around his own cock?
Got a lot of questions.
Because he fucks that lady. He fucks the stepmom again. Remember? As soon as he becomes fully resurrected,
they do. Yeah, you're right.
So did he do that? That's even more fucking creepy.
I don't know. I think the whole thing about this movie is that chick is worse than anybody in the entire movie.
She really is.
She's the worst. With her giant star earrings.
Star earrings and mullet that she curls sometimes.
Yeah.
So,
you're right, though. Like, every earring that she has covers up her entire ear.
Yeah.
So maybe she does have those connecting earlobes.
Those weird earlobes.
Yeah. If anybody of you out there has connecting earlobes, go ahead and comment and say that Clint's an asshole. Because he thinks you're weird.
I don't. Okay, so the thing about me, when I see connected earlobes, I'm not gonna lie, it kind of freaks me out. Okay, I don't see why it's weird. It's like
it's different. It's definitely different.
It's different.
It's different.
It's like some people get freaked out that some people are left-handed. I mean, I'm left-handed.
Yeah. Well, you're weird though. Yeah, connecting earlobes don't necessarily freak me out, but I do think it's weird, or like I notice it. Like I'm like,
I mean, if you were dating a chick with connected earlobes,
I could do it. Like it's not something that's a deal breaker.
But you would notice it the whole time.
I would notice it, yeah.
Whenever she turned her head.
Yep. I guess so. It's not a huge deal.
Or you're getting intimate and you're like, wow, there's nothing here to bite on. It's connected to your head.
Buy her some earmuffs and one of those hats, like that has the flaps on it.
Oh my god!
There we go.
Yeah.
Buy her some giant star earrings.
Oh fuck! Wow, that took a different turn. Oh, we didn't even finish what the other ratings are on this movie. Had a 72% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Really? I thought it would be a little bit higher. Okay.
Me too. It really shocked me. And then on Metacritic, only a 52%.
So not that great.
No.
It's very... Because out of the horror movies that I've watched so far, The Fly had the highest ratings.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say this is way more entertaining than The Fly.
Mm-hmm.
And way more horror oriented than The Fly as well.
I agree to. I mean, I really like The Fly remake, but as far as a horror movie, a straight horror movie goes,
this is like straight up horror.
This is straight horror to me, and yeah, I was very shocked at the reviews on this, and especially because this is 72% is not just critic reviews, like people that get paid to go watch movies and rate it. Yeah. This is also 72% even.
Just people. With general people.
General people.
Interesting.
So, a lot of reviews that I saw.
Because Hellraiser was one of those classic horror movies, isn't it? Like as far as in the horror genre, it's considered one of the top ones up there, one of the like pinnacles of horror movies. Yeah. So I'm surprised that it got that low.
It almost seems like what the fucking basis of Hot Topic was even created on.
Yeah.
You remember old Hot Topic? Not Hot Topic now.
I went to Hot Topic a lot back in the day.
You remember what old Hot Topic looked like, right? It looked like it was like some shit out of this. Yeah. Like industrial fucking weird shit.
Yeah.
Even the letters were different.
The freaking people that worked there were freaking looked like Pinhead.
They look like Pinhead, or they look like they definitely visited a lot of Marilyn Manson fucking concerts. You know what I mean? They had those fucking. You know what I never understood, and I hate to sound like a douchebag when I say this, but I never understood in high school the kids that fucking wore the fucking Invader Zim clothing that you'd see from Hot Topic, or the giant fucking pants that had all the different loops and shit in them. Like I never understood.
You know what?
Shit.
I did have a pair of what were they called? Levi pipes. Levi pipes. They were like these raver pants. They were like really wide, huge.
Like they'd overshadow your shoe.
Yeah, they were so fucking comfortable though. Felt like you were walking around on air. It was amazing. I really wish that trend kept on to today. I would wear those two today. But the ones with all the zippers and the zippers,
there's a
and
million
the chains
zippers
and stuff like that. Yeah, that's going on. That's too much stuff going on.
Yeah.
Like, have you ever seen what is it? A GIF or GIF? No. I don't know, but it was like these a bunch of goth kids underneath a bridge, and they're dancing to this goth music, and they've all got those like pants that you're talking about. Yeah, they're doing the hand things and stuff like that. I gotta show you the video.
Oh my god,
it's hilarious.
Yeah, but I mean, I never understood that, and the thing that drove me nuts, being a horror fan, is that whenever I went to Spencer's or whenever I went to Hot Topic, I always saw something with Pinhead on it. It was a shirt with Pinhead, or the Hellraiser movie was like always something there. And I think we talked about it last time or the time before, where they started making clothes based off stuff that it started making it look like it was a poser thing.
Yeah.
And it would drive me nuts because, like, man, I really like this movie. I'd like to wear a shirt of this movie or this band. But they're making these poser shit.
All these assholes are wearing it too, so I can't.
Yeah, these assholes that... And I know that they're assholes. I can speak on this, that they're assholes, because I've asked people in high school or even in middle school that were wearing shit like that. And they wouldn't be able to tell me anything about the movie.
Yeah.
So... It was like, I don't want to be lumped in with
it was
that
like the
jerk.
It was like the Kardashians wearing a Slayer shirt.
Oh my god.
It's like that same type of thing, right? It's like,
yes.
Why are you wearing that? You know you listen to, I don't know, Bruno Mars or something like that. You don't listen to freaking Slasher.
Yeah. It'd be like a cheerleader in high school I saw, like, walking around with a System of a Down shirt or something like that. I'd be like, wow. At first, I'd be like, probably like, wow, you're hot, and you like System of a Down.
Fucking awesome, right? And she's like, chop suey. I love Chinese food. And
God, yeah. That's the kind of shit that it would always drive me nuts in high school. Now I don't really care, but now also I don't really wear clothes that have fucking logos on them anymore.
Yeah, basically all I wear band shirts, Tool, and I'll wear 49ers stuff every once in a while.
Fuck the Niners.
Yeah, fuck the Niners this year.
Yeah, and fuck the Raiders, too. They suck,
You know what? We gotta go to Vegas and just watch... Like, when this whole coronavirus shit goes away, we gotta take a trip to Vegas, go to a Raiders game.
We probably can't even afford the tickets in Vegas. The tickets for that shit is probably crazy expensive.
No, tickets to Vegas are cheap because they want you to get there and, gamble all your money away.
But for the Raiders stadium?
For tickets for the stadium.
Yeah.
No, that's probably a little bit... I'll bang it. I'm a baller now.
You're a baller now. Oh, fuck. Okay. But we do need to make a trip to Vegas.
Yeah,
we should do a podcast episode from Vegas.
Yeah, that'd be sick. Podcast from Vegas.
We could do Hostel fucking 3, which takes place in Vegas.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
That kidnap people in Vegas and kill them.
Don't like Hostel, though, but I'll do it, I guess. That'd be fun, though. We should definitely plan a trip to Vegas. Nathan will go with us for sure.
Dude, we should get Nathan on one of these episodes.
We should. I actually asked him to come over tonight, but he was watching his son.
Shit.
Yeah. So I was like, hey, come over. He was like, nah, I gotta watch the kid. You know, kids, little babies, they gotta be watched.
I mean, yeah.
We could do one. No, we should plan that out.
We'll
sometime.
plan it.
We should have a guest star, my cousin Nathan and
Yeah.
Clint's brother-in-law.
Yeah.
That'd be fun.
Yeah.
Because Nathan can talk for days.
And he's just like you. You've never seen any of this shit.
Yeah, that's true.
So, also for Hellraiser, there was no ever official game made for Hellraiser.
That'd be a cool game, actually, I think. They do a lot of different things with the Cenobites coming in, portaling in from whatever dimension they are, and that chick, you'd probably be that daughter running around trying to help stuff out and save her dad or whatever.
There was no official game for Hellraiser.
Was there a board game?
No.
No?
If any of you, if any of you have watched my YouTube channel, Retro or Die.
Oh, that's awful.
Hey.
No, I'm looking at that.
Oh.
Now you're. I'm sorry. I was looking at the video, not what Clint was saying.
The woman with elbow pads.
Yes. Retro or Die is awesome. You should go check it out.
You're drinking beer, aren't you? Aren't you?
Yeah, our style.
Did I say that?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah, this is when the podcast gets good.
This is when it starts getting really good. Anyway, sponsor us if you want our beer. Your beer.
You know what? Beer company, a brewery, or a kombucha company. Because I'm trying to switch over from beer to kombucha. So if a kombucha...
kombucha?
Kombucha. It's like it's
kombucha or kombucha?
Kombucha. Kombucha.
What's that?
It's like... Well, they make it with tea, but they make it alcoholic too. It's really good.
I've never had that.
It's healthy for you, actually. It's really good.
Then why are we drinking this?
That's what I'm saying. Kombucha is a better way to get your alcohol.
Okay, well...
It's got probiotics in it.
When are you going to invite me over to have some?
I actually have some in my fridge right now. You want to come over?
Yes.
All right.
Video games.
Video games. What video games? I don't have any video games. And nothing's hooked up.
Oh, fuck.
I'm actually planning on going home and playing Dota tonight. But
fuck that game.
Fuck that game. It's a great game. It is such a great game. So...
I don't understand. Anyway, we'll talk about it later.
We'll talk about it later.
Video games. So Hellraiser had no official... actual video game. In the 80s, there was a, funny enough, a Bible-related video game company called Color Dreams.
Oh, I remember these Bible video games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It made the fucking Moses game.
There's a few different ones, yeah.
King of Kings was one.
King of Kings, I remember that one too.
Yeah. So those were the NES games that religious people would buy because they don't want them to have fucking Zelda or Metroid or something like that.
I love that. I love how Bible people always make some type of alternate offshoot that's slightly worse, but still kind of there.
So that's the hilarious thing. That's the hilarious thing about this is that Color Dreams, after they made these fucking games, their last game that they tried to actually make was fucking Hellraiser.
The Bible company?
Yeah.
Hellraiser?
They tried to make Hellraiser on NES.
This is
because the people that were working there were not fucking religious. They're just making these games to make money.
Yeah.
And they were trying to do something revolutionary at the time with the NES and NES boards on the ROMs and the chips and stuff, and they were going to make like a super ROM to make this game. They were going to make it something revolutionary that we've never seen with the NES games before. And I made a whole video on it on the Retro or Die channel for you to go check out. It's called Hellraiser, the Lost NES Game.
Nice.
Very good video. It is considered by most of my subscribers as the best video I've ever made.
Really?
Yes.
And you've gotten views of like 7,000 up on some of your videos.
20,000 and up.
20,000 and up, okay. The ones that I was looking at were like 7,000. I forgot which ones they were.
Most of those, the ones that are in the 7,000, 5,000 range are like movie reviews of people like dragging, what the fuck is just dragging? Rain of Fire. Shit like that. People are like, oh, there's no fucking
Rain of Fire,
movie
yeah, that's the one I was thinking of. Yeah.
Yeah. Or Manhunt 2. A video game that sucks. But, yeah. Hellraiser, the NES game, was the one official game that was going to be released, but because they couldn't get the money to make the fucking boards, they had the whole project outline of the boards to make this fucking game. And there's a still shot image of this game in the magazine that I have in my closet behind you. That was a Halloween edition of a video game magazine where they talk about the game and the boards and everything. But they couldn't get the money. They couldn't get the money. So the fucking game was canceled in the middle of its development. Never came out. And it would have been the third horror movie-related NES game ever made, because there was a Jason.
By some type of Bible company, which is
by a
ironic.
Bible company.
That's weird.
And it would have been following the Friday the 13th game and the Nightmare on Elm Street game. There would have been a Hellraiser game. Never came out, though.
That's sad.
And the only other game that I know that has Pinhead in it is a indie game that's not licensed, of course, that I actually did interview with the developers back in like 2013 called Terrordrome. And Terrordrome was a fighting game like Mortal Kombat where all it had was horror movie characters that were iconic.
Okay.
So you could have Pinhead fight Ash from Evil Dead, or Pumpkinhead versus Jason. It was a very cool game. And I think you can still get it today if it hasn't been, cease and desist lettered by every fucking movie company at this point. This was a long time ago. But those are the only things I can think of that Pinhead's ever been in a video game, not an official game. So...
Yeah, I could see Pinhead being in like a Mortal Kombat game, actually. It's just cool looking.
He would be so cool in a Mortal Kombat game. He'd be perfect in Mortal Kombat.
He's got those chains, kind of like Scorpion, the get over here. He's got those chains that like hook into people. He's got the Cenobite dudes that
he's got the Cenobites. He could definitely have those special kill screens where it's like where the chains all come through and take someone apart at the end.
Like to explode them.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
No tears. It's waste of sweet suffering.
That wasn't in this one, is it?
Yeah, it is.
It is? I don't remember that one.
Yeah, he says it when the Chatterer's got his fingers in the chick's mouth. She's like, it's just a puzzle box.
I don't remember that part. It's funny.
I mean, I can understand why you wouldn't know, because I've seen this movie so many times.
Yeah.
Pinhead's quotes are just so fucking iconic.
Everything he says is kind of cool. Like, even the way he talks.
Everything. And out of all the movies
that's why it's sad that you only see him a few times, because he says so much cool stuff. You just want to hear more of it.
Out of all the movies, out of the 10 movies, I only did a movie review on my channel for one, and it was Hellraiser Judgment. And the only reason was because I was so excited to see the sequel for that movie, because the commercial was one of those bait and switch commercials, like, oh my god, Hellraiser's gonna be brought back into the fucking fold, like, it's not gonna be a joke anymore. And then I watched it and it was bullshit, and I was pissed that I watched it. And I did like a whole stupid little cutscene at the beginning where I'm being invaded into a random house by the Cenobites. We'll have to watch it after that. Yeah, it's really funny, but the movie sucks. Really bad. Oh, another thing about the last Hellraiser movie, the last two Hellraiser movies, Doug Bradley, the guy that plays Pinhead, he was Pinhead in every single Hellraiser movie except for the last two.
Okay.
And the reason why that was is Dimension Films got pissed off at him for saying that he felt like the Hellraiser movie franchise was being milked.
Which it was.
Yeah.
So he was speaking the truth.
Yeah, because
speaking truth to power.
Definitely, because the last one he was in, what he felt like was literally pushing it to the point where it was a joke. It was a joke at that point, and Dimension Films was like, "Oh, really? Well, fuck you. You're not going to play this character anymore. We're not even going to call you to ask you to be this character anymore. We're going to replace you." The guy that's been the same character since '86 all the way till fucking 2000 something.
Yeah.
So
they just got rid of him.
They got rid of him, which shows how expendable everyone is when it comes to a movie franchise. Well, especially when it comes to that many sequels, because when it's become out that far in sequels, like, I don't think they even care about characters anymore or actors. But Robert Englund I mean, he played Freddy Krueger every single movie. Every single movie except for that animated bullshit movie that Michael Bay did. Transformers, Michael Bay.
Yeah.
Which
I
also...
didn't know they did an animated version of it.
Well, it wasn't animated. It was the one I told you about in the last movie, or the last podcast, where they made Freddy Krueger completely CGI.
Oh.
Yeah. Michael Bay also redid...
But there's a lot of explosions
the
in that
Jason
movie?
one. But he also redid the Texas Chainsaw one that I love.
Oh.
So it was like Michael Bay before he became Transformers Michael Bay.
The big shot.
Big shot Michael Bay.
So what would you give it as far as like a rating? As far as horror movies go?
As far as
1 to 10 scale.
As far as horror movies go, I'd probably give Hellraiser, the very first film. I'd probably stand higher than you. I'd stand in an 8. What did you say?
I said 8.
I'd say
I
8.
said 8.
Okay, I'd say 8 also.
Okay.
8
So
also.
we're about the same then.
I think the sequel, because of the parts where it actually gets in, we get to see Pinhead a lot more. We get to know about the Cenobites a lot more.
That's what's cool.
It's a little stronger than this movie. It's just
so that's
as
weird because the sequel's actually, you're saying, is stronger than the
I do think it's stronger.
original.
I do think it's stronger.
That's...
But it's only strong because of the first film. I almost feel like
so it builds off of it.
Yeah, I almost feel like these two films are almost...
So it's a foundation and then a build off of...
Yeah, it's like when you watch Terminator 1 and Terminator 2, it's almost like...
Terminator 2's better.
You could just put both films together. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You could put both these movies together and not stop, and you wouldn't really know that it was the... Like, one film ended and another film began.
Mm-hmm.
So... I feel like the second part's stronger because you get to know more about the lore about the Cenobites.
Yeah, that's why I'm excited to see the next one, is because I want to know more about Hellraiser. And like you said, this movie laid the groundwork for that, right?
Yeah.
Like, it kind of introduced me to Pinhead. I'm just like, I want to see more of him. I want to see what's up with him. I want to see what's up with his dimension and his whole backstory.
Yeah.
So the next one I'm excited about.
And the hobo thing, I could see why people would not understand with this fucking hobo
The
throughout
hobo,
the entire movie.
I was wondering that too. Is like he's kind of thrown in here, and then he shows up at the very end and turns into a weird dragon demon thing. Like, what's up with that? Like, doesn't really.
It doesn't explain
make any sense.
It doesn't explain shit, and I can understand why. Like, if you're a general movie audience, someone that's this is what's out at the time, I'm gonna go watch it. What the fuck does this mean?
Yeah.
And then you don't go see a sequel or whatever, but the demon dragon thing is like right at the beginning of the second one. So you lose no time with the sequels, and that's what I like about a lot of horror movie sequels. If they can do it right at the beginning where the last one left off, I really like that. I don't like it where it's 5 years into the future and you're like, what the fuck happened? I like it when it's right after. So
I do too, actually, because it's easy to pick up and go off of that, right? Because you just watch that one. And it's cool to watch them back to back in that sense. Which you were saying we could do tonight, but I'm just like, that's kind of too...
It's a big commitment.
That's a big commitment. We should have started earlier if we wanted to do that, you know?
Yeah.
But, yeah, it would be, to go back to back without any type of, like, really time period in between... I think that's really cool because it's easy to follow, you know, that. You don't have to have, it's like, well, 5 years later, well, what happened in that 5 years then, you know? It's like, exactly, right after that first movie, this is what happened.
Or if it's Texas Chainsaw Massacre Next Generation, 2 years later.
Well, that was weird because they even said in the opening credits with that dude who was very non-enthusiastical. He was like, and this little side story happened. Like, this little thing that doesn't even really matter happened. Like, they kind of say that.
So, the taglines we go through pretty much for every movie.
Yeah. I actually really like these.
I like these too. The taglines is, the first one, will tear your soul apart.
Which makes sense.
It makes sense. This one, I don't really like, but... There are no limits.
Okay.
This one's really bad, I think. Satan's done waiting.
Satan's done waiting.
And it's spelled that way. Waiting.
Waiting. That was pretty dumb. They don't ever mention Satan or hell in the movie.
Nope. This one.
We have such sights to show you.
That's kind of okay. That's cool.
Okay. And then the last one that I really like.
Demons to some, angels
Yes,
to others.
that is the best quote out of the whole movie.
It is
I
the
think.
best one. And I think it's what's on the box of the
Oh,
original
really? Yeah, that's
VHS.
very freaking cool quote.
Yeah,
Demons to some, angels to others.
I agree. And when they say that, it makes absolute sense.
Yeah.
Depending on what you're there for. If you're true of heart, that's you came there knowing what the box is going to do and what it entails. Because there's lore behind the box that isn't explained in the first movie, but you knowing what these boxes are, what you're going to get. And if you're seeking that pain, pleasure thing,
Yeah.
angels to some,
Great place for you.
and someone that's also, and if you're a person who's just like, yeah, fucking right. What the fuck's gonna happen? I play with this stupid box.
Yeah.
Demons to others, where
Yeah.
you're fucking being ripped to pieces. You know?
Yeah.
It makes perfect sense.
It does. And it kind of goes along with the whole sexual undertones of S&M thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like that whole lifestyle could be like a awful, horrible thing to some, but others is like, they love it.
It's
So,
awful to me on record.
Yeah. I'm not one that likes pain myself.
Like, I mean-
don't like inflicting pain. I don't like receiving pain. So
I
it's
mean-
not for me. But if you like it, go for it.
I'm not going to say I'm Mr. Missionary, but you
Mr.
could-
Missionary.
but I'm not like, fucking throw hooks in my back as I'm fucking
Yeah,
someone.
Exactly.
I'm not going to like that.
Yeah.
I don't even fucking think acupuncture's cool.
Not like ball gags in your mouth and
No. Fuck no.
stuff.
I'm not the gimp.
If you want to put ball gags in your mouth, I'm not judging you. Go for it. It's just not for me.
I mean, I'm going to kind of a little think it's weird.
But you can't think it's weird unless you're like sleeping with the person, right? Who cares? Who cares what other people do, whether they
Yeah.
want to put ball gags in the mouth or not? Like, that's what you do in your own
I mean, if
mind.
it's Pulp Fiction
You're
and
not
you
doing
got
it to
them in
me, I
a
don't give a
basement,
fuck.
then you're
What?
raping other people.
Oh
with
yeah,
them,
well
then.
that's different. That's different. That was like weird gimp stuff.
Bring out the gimp.
Yeah.
I did hit record, right?
That would have sucked, dude. If you
Yeah.
did all
I've done
talking.
that. I've done that making videos before,
Oh, that's awful.
Yeah.
That is awful.
and I've thrown shit like
Yeah.
across the room.
I would too, dude. That's a lot of like mental energy expended for nothing. You're talking to yourself, basically.
Yeah.
You're schizophrenic.
I saw a lot of bad reviews on this movie because of how. So, just speaking on that alone, did you notice at the end of the movie when she's shooting the Cenobites with the box? It's kind of a lackluster ending, right?
Yeah.
And they just kind of disintegrate and
Yeah,
disappear.
it's kind of like she just puts those bottles together.
Except
the
for
guy
Butterball, who
disappears
just
or whatever.
kind of gets fucked up by the house falling on him, right?
Yeah.
Well, Clive Barker had a reason for that. It's because they only had a certain amount of budget. Him and the special effects guy got super drunk, and they fucking beat their asses to get that shit done. They had no money left, and that was what they could do for the end of the movie.
Oh god.
They had no money to do any more shit. And that's what they came up with at the end. And that's his excuse of why it's kind of, it might look lackluster at the
Yeah.
end of why the Cenobites just kind of just did
It does
this.
look like a quick wrap up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's his excuse. But you know what? When I'm watching, I'm like, you know what? It makes sense. Why would they not be destroyed by the box or be taken back by
they're
the
brought
box?
here by it, so why not be taken away by it?
Yeah. But a lot of reviews that I read on the internet about this movie, it's like, what the fuck is wrong with the ending? Why the fuck is the ending so bad? Why is it so cheap looking? Why are the effects so bad at the end? People just, for some reason, can't get past the ending.
Right.
The ending is like their giant hang-up.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't say it was like impressive or anything, but it wasn't like horrible.
No, I've seen way worse
Way
endings.
worse. Yeah, for sure.
I mean, Friday the 13th movies, I've seen way worse fucking endings for what happens to Jason. Or way worse beginnings of how he gets fucking resurrected. You know, he gets resurrected in one movie just from some guy stabbing him with a metal fence piece, and it gets hit by lightning like Frankenstein. And Jason's alive. You know? Oh, wait. Okay, so another thing we were talking about, I think we talked about it in the last episode, before we get into the review thing that we're going to talk about. We were talking about Cenobites.
Yep.
And the whole term, Cenobite.
Yeah.
Like, where does
delicious.
it come from? I guess Cenobite is actually like a religious term.
Really?
Yeah, it's like a religious term going back way back in the day. But in Clive Barker's book, the Hellbound Heart says Cenobites are also known as the Order of the Gash. So not the bloody
Order of
gash.
the Gash?
Yeah, but the Order of the Gash.
Okay.
Which we know what that means.
Yeah.
I've
Get some gash.
I've called someone a bloody gash before in my life. Cenobites were once human, having transformed their current state in their pursuit of gratification. Cenobites are so removed from their former humanity and so dedicated to exploring physical experience that they no longer distinguish between pleasurable sensations and pain.
Oh, okay. So that makes more sense then. Because I'm like, I didn't see any pleasure. All I saw was pain, but that pain that I saw was actually pleasure to them.
Yeah.
And pain, because it's the same thing to them.
Yeah.
Ah, okay.
But in the second one, they really go into like detail with that whole universe of where they fucking come from. And here's that part in the movie. Here's the part in the movie where the nuns are just like, "What the fuck's wrong with you?" And one nun gives her like the dirtiest look ever. She's like, "Why are you such a dirty cunt?" And Black Ice Cube.
Got from New York.
Yeah, he looks like Ice Cube from Boys in the Hood.
He does.
Same hat and everything. And then this weird thing with the rose.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the rose was about. But they showed it like a bunch of times.
I mean, you know what? What did I say? What was the rose meaning?
Vagina.
Well, yeah, it's like. Is
that the bloody gash?
Coming. No, it's like coming to maturity.
Oh, okay.
Like, I don't know. I've heard it before and seen it before in art. Like,
and why is this nurse watching a rose bloom?
I don't know. It's like her blooming. It's her blooming into knowing what the fuck's going on.
So she's become enlightened.
Enlightened.
She understands what's going on now.
I mean, it's not me being perverted. I've seen a lot of stuff about roses and vaginas.
Yeah.
Being like somehow the same in art. You know?
Yeah. No, I know what you're talking about.
I mean, that's the first thing I thought when I saw it.
Don't they call it like their flower or their
yeah.
rose or something?
Yeah. And then the doctor just has the box in his pocket.
He's just like, I'm just going to leave it here to jog your memory. And why would police want to speak to her? I didn't understand that.
I don't know. Maybe because they thought she was on drugs.
Yeah, but still. Even a person that overdoses on the street and gets taken to the hospital, the police don't come and talk to him. Where'd you get those drugs?
So, getting to one of the worst reviews I ever saw on this movie was by Roger Ebert.
Oh, okay. Ebert. He's dead now?
Is he?
One of them's dead.
He's
Ebert and Roper.
Ebert, it was like a huge movie critic, like very well known.
Yeah, one of them died because they had the show where it was both of them, right? Was it Ebert and Roper?
I thought, was it Ebert and Ebert?
It wasn't Ebert and Ebert. Roger and Ebert?
I don't know.
I forgot.
Roger Ebert, though. Chicago Sun-Times said, "This is a movie without wit, style, or reason. And the true horror of the actors were made to portray, and techniques to realize its bankruptcy of the imagination."
Okay, he just threw in a lot of words there.
Yeah, he's a piece of... It's
I bet if you read any review by him on a horror movie, it's going to be like that.
Why the fuck did he even get to watch the movie?
Well,
like, what makes...
He's a critic. That's what he does. He watches movies and says stuff about
When you're... What I don't understand is when you're a critic of something, I don't care about how many movies it is or what movie it is. If I'm being paid as a critic to watch a movie and it's a horror movie or a romantic comedy or whatever it is, I'm going to write something about the actual movie.
Yeah.
I'm not going to write just a bunch of $10 words and say, some bullshit.
We also should write the movie and the genre of the movie, right? So if you're writing for a horror movie, you have to understand what a horror movie entails and write about it in that way. If you're writing a romantic comedy, then you have to be like, okay, this is what romantic comedies usually have, and this is kind of the way that they go. Okay, it makes sense in this sense. But yeah, like I don't get why he would.
But if you get the cushy job of being able to sit
how
and
easy
watch a
is
movie,
that? You sit and watch a movie and freaking write about it. Jeez, and you get paid for that?
yeah,
You make a living off of that?
yeah.
Sign me up.
Like I don't get why it would be so hard to actually write a paragraph, even if you're only required to write a paragraph. Something about the movie. His review doesn't tell me anything about what the actual movie is.
Yeah.
He's like, well, it would have been better off than an Amazon review. The one word thing we saw on the fly. Horrible.
Yeah, horrible. Horrible. Yeah, I really like that one, though. That was funny.
I mean, a lot of the critic reviews that I saw on this are good, and that's why we don't have very many bad ones to read this time.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't find ones that were funny enough to read on this podcast episode about this movie. It was just like, the effects are bad at the end, is what I saw.
Okay.
And it's people that didn't look into why.
I didn't really think the effects were horrible at the end for the time period. It was kind of like...
I thought it made sense for the end. She uses the
I
box
wasn't like...
against the creatures that come out. It made sense.
Yeah, I don't know. It didn't strike me as horrible as the ending. Like, it was like a little cheesy or whatever, the way that she used the box and stuff, whatever. But
And the boyfriend, like, just randomly coming into the house and
yeah,
kind
and
of
he was
acting like...
actually very calm about the whole situation.
Yeah.
He was just like, oh, monsters are chasing us. That sucks. Let's get rid of them.
Yeah, this giant thing came out of the door with a spike and I'm dressed like I'm in the Depeche Mode.
It totally was.
This is the best scene of the entire movie, I think. I think this is the selling scene of the entire movie, where they're in the hospital and the Cenobites all come together to talk to Kirsty. What do you think?
I thought it was alright.
This is my favorite scene. What's your favorite scene?
My favorite scene was probably near the end where they had more... I like Pinhead. I feel like whenever I saw Pinhead, I was like, oh, yes, this is cool. So whenever I saw Pinhead talk, those were my favorite parts.
That's why I think this part's so strong.
Because it has Pinhead radio.
And I think it's where he talks the most, too.
Randy Jackson.
You opened it. We carried it.
See, every time he talks is...
It is a means to summon us. Explorers in the further regions of experience. Demons to some. Angels to others.
God, that's so cool.
That's cool.
I think that we, as horror fans, get so just desensitized to movies where you almost forget how cool this stuff can actually be, because you saw it so young and you're like, wow, this is really cool, and then you watch it,
Yeah.
and it loses the effect. Watching it with you today, being someone that first saw it, it brought those feelings back where I was like, just watching you, and I was like, it made me so excited and just appreciate it more again, seeing it for
That's
again.
Cool.
Yeah, it was really cool to see your whole reaction to that. And Pinhead is so different.
Pinhead's cool. I like Pinhead a lot, and that's why I'm like, I wish he was in it more. Like,
Yeah.
I felt like I didn't see enough of him.
He's so different compared to Jason and Freddy Krueger.
Yeah, because it's also like the whole dimension thing. Like, he's from a different dimension, so I can't even necessarily say he's evil. He's kind of just doing what he's meant
doing
to
his
do.
job.
Yeah, he's just kind of doing what he's meant to do. And,
He's not a fucking...
and he looks freaking cool. Like, all
And he
these
talks
nails in his
cool.
head. Like, why... They don't explain why he has the nails in his head or anything like that. So you're just kind of wondering about, like, why is he like the way he is? And that's why I want to see the next one. Is like, I want to have more explanation on the backstory of that dude.
I'm very excited for you to see the next one, because it's just so much more in detail than this one. This one doesn't give you any context of the Cenobite universe.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
So...
They just briefly touch on it in this one. They just barely even say anything. It's mainly about the family. I'd say a good 45 minutes of the movie was just basically the family talking and with Frank and all that stuff. And
Frank.
Yeah, the Cenobites and Pinhead doesn't actually really get involved in the movie till the very end.
So we're gonna get into the end of the show now.
Okay.
Where we got our listener mail.
Listener mail, all right.
And
this is most of
it is for you. And I do want to reiterate at the end here that if you do want to write to us, you can write to us on our website, doebymidnight.com.
For sure.
You can write to me on Instagram, retro.or.die, or Twitter, retro.or.die. And now, Brett, because of his wager that he posted against the audience about our listenership, has to make a social media platform for you, the listeners, to get in contact with him.
Wait, how many listeners do we have then? It's above 50?
It's above 50.
So I have to make an Instagram account now.
Yeah.
Okay.
We are over 100 at this point.
Wow, that's way more than I thought. Okay. So my Instagram that I make, what do I call that then?
I don't know.
Due by Midnight?
I have a Due by Midnight Instagram. I'll just give it to you.
Okay. So I have to make a separate one then?
I'll give you the Due by Midnight one if you want.
So and you
just put your picture on it.
I'll just count that as mine?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I'll give you the login info if you want.
Yeah.
If you don't want to create one.
I've never been on Instagram, so...
Instagram, you know what I like about Instagram? I used to like Twitter a lot. I don't really use Twitter very much anymore because Twitter seems to have, died. But what I like about Instagram is, for me, all I do is really post shit in my collection on my Instagram. Mm-hmm. So it's one day I'll post a picture of Resident Evil. One day I'll post a picture of a horror movie.
Yeah.
And you just find people with a like-minded interest, and they write to you.
Okay.
But because now you are a public figure on a podcast, people are going to want to know more about you, Brett. People are going to be interested in seeing maybe your tool collection, or maybe writing to you about the fucking podcast episodes.
All right.
I don't know, but it's stuff that you could bring to the table maybe next episode.
All right. Okay.
So be sure to be on the lookout for Brett's Instagram account.
Yeah, we'll have to figure that out with the next week, I guess.
I was so excited.
I'm honestly shocked. I was not expecting to.
I was so excited because I knew about this mid last week.
Yeah,
and I was like,
Brett's
gonna eat his words.
You didn't even text me or anything about it.
Nope, because I didn't want you to have any.
Out.
I didn't want you to be able to be like, well, maybe 100 listeners.
You know me too well.
I do. All right, so we will get into our questions and comments now. Okay, so... well, you kind of already answered this one. This question comes from Ricky at Video Homicide on Instagram.
That's a cool name, Video Homicide.
He says, did you expect to see more Pinhead?
I did. Yeah, definitely. Way more Pinhead is what I was expecting. Especially since, as a kid, going into video stores, every time I saw a Hellraiser, it was probably Hellraiser, and when I think about it now, since I was 3 years old when this came out, the other Hellraisers, when I saw one when I was older, was probably 3, 4, or 5, right? Mm-hmm.
It probably was.
And every single poster, everything that I saw was always Pinhead, always Pinhead. That's why when I watched this and I saw this family, I had never seen any of this family on any of the posters or anything.
No, because in every movie except for the first two, it's always different people.
Okay, so yeah, they don't even follow the family then.
No, after the second one.
Yeah, so definitely, I was expecting way more Pinhead. I wouldn't say I was disappointed by the movie of not seeing as much Pinhead, but I just because you told me the second movie has more of it and more of the backstory. In that case, I kind of understand it. I will take this as a foundation movie, and then the next movie would be more of what I wanted to see of Pinhead. But yeah, I would definitely say I was expecting more Pinhead for sure.
And then this one's for us both. What is your favorite scene in the movie? Which we kind of said, but get into your favorite scene in the movie.
Yeah, my favorite scene. I would say the kind of towards the end where they actually get Frank.
So this part right here.
Yeah, kind of right here. Just like this right here. If you pause it right there.
Yeah.
Where it's got these three guys. Where it's got the Pinhead, it's got Chatter, and then it's got Randy Jackson on the right-hand side.
Where they're asking for Frank. Or are you talking about the part where she actually tricks Frank?
No, where she tricks Frank, and then they
set me up.
Yeah, and then they send the chains after him.
Yeah.
And then they like rip him apart.
Yeah.
That was cool.
I do love that part. I do like that part a lot. But my favorite scene, I think, is just the initial introduction to the daughter, the main girl's character. I keep forgetting her name.
Christy.
Christy. Where they're in the hospital, and he's just like, "You opened the box. We came."
Yeah, that's just cool too.
It's so ominous because she has no idea what the fuck's going on. Yeah. You as the audience don't know why the fuck, whenever the box is touched, these fucking guys come out. Mm-hmm. And it's like, you're being punished for not... It's like curiosity killed the cat. You don't know what the fuck you just did.
Yeah.
When Frank says, don't touch the box, it opens up passageways or doorways.
Yeah, it opens up doors.
It's like, it really does, and you won't get fucked. So, it's like, that is definitely one of my favorite scenes.
That's a good question, though. Definitely a good question.
Very good. And then we have one more question just for you.
Oh, I feel special. Thank you.
If he was to really enjoy these flicks, is there a chance he would seek them out on home video, DVD, or Blu-ray?
I by myself?
Yeah, would you buy these?
Would I buy them?
Yeah, would you seek these out? VHS, Blu-ray, DVD. And I kind of already said to this guy, I was like, I kind of already think I know his answer. I definitely know you're not going to buy these on VHS.
No, definitely not VHS, because first of all, I don't have a VCR. Like 99% of America, I don't have a VCR.
Hey.
As far as Blu-ray, I probably wouldn't watch horror movies over again. Unless I was with somebody else. Like I said before, I will watch comedies over again. Actually, you know what? I really don't watch movies that much over again. I watch TV series over a lot. Mm-hmm. Every year I have certain TV series that I watch over and over again.
Is it a certain time of the year?
Yeah, every year, like, usually during the summer I'll watch, like, Game of Thrones over again. I'll watch Always Sunny in Philadelphia every year over again. Yeah,
I've never seen any of those.
Oh my gosh, Always Sunny in Philadelphia is such a great show.
Maybe I was talking to the guy who didn't finish Game of Thrones, or didn't watch Breaking Bad.
Yeah, I would say don't finish Game of Thrones. Watch the first 7 seasons and then leave it fucking at that, because honestly, the 8th season's ruined it for me. As soon as the 8th season came out, I stopped watching it over again. And, like, it actually ruined the series for me.
Fuck.
Which sucks because I actually own all 7. The first 7 seasons on DVD. I bought all the box sets because I was like super into it. I love
fantasy. Not like Sons of Anarchy.
What?
Not like Sons of Anarchy, where you bought the 3rd season.
Yeah, actually that season's not that bad as soon as you get past the Ireland part. But Sons of Anarchy is another one that's a great one. I don't really watch that one over too much again. I've watched it like 2 or 3 times, I think. But like I said, usually TV series I'll watch over again. Movies, unless it's like Die Hard or an action, I probably won't watch it over again. See,
I kind of already... I didn't even say this response back, but I already knew your response to this was going to be, of course not, you're going to buy these. Why would you buy them?
Yeah.
I own all of these. Why would you buy them?
I'm not gonna buy them. And the reason why I'm watching them is because it's fun to watch them for the first time and then talk about them with Forrest and, this podcast as my perspective. But I probably won't watch it over again. No.
Yeah. I knew it. I knew it.
And there's actually probably not very many 80s films that I do watch over and over again.
I mean, what about Goonies?
I will watch that over again, actually.
Or Beetlejuice?
I'll probably watch Beetlejuice over again,
Batman?
too. I don't know. I really am not a big fan of Batman.
What?
No.
What, you like Superman more?
No. I didn't like Superman, actually.
I hate
I always thought Superman was stupid. Because
I thought Superman was the lamest superhero.
I thought it was kind of a cop-out. He can do anything, and he can't get hurt, so what's the freaking point? He's going to win, right?
I agree. Even when he's supposed to... I owned all the comic books of when Superman
that's
died.
why
He doesn't even really die.
Before they ruined Spider-Man with all the movies they made about him. That's why I liked Spider-Man so much, is because he was this person that was still kind of human, and he had these superpowers, but he was still defeatable, and he did get beat up a ton. Like, he got messed up by Dr. Octopus and all this, Green Goblin.
He almost gets killed by Venom.
Yeah, so he's totally... Oh, yeah, Venom, too, which was an awesome...
Todd McFarlane's first
villain
introduction to Spider-Man. He makes Venom, and he almost kills Spider-Man.
Yeah, so that's why I kind of like that aspect where it's more... I can relate to the superhero more, you know? It's like, and that's what I think superheroes were kind of invented for, where it's like you can kind of be like, see yourself in that, and then the superpowers are more of like you relating it to whatever like talents you have or something like that.
Yeah,
you know? So,
I think that's why when I read Watchmen and then when I saw the movie, Watchmen I always felt like was the most realistic because they're superheroes with problems. They're people, and with superpowers, but they're fucked up like people are. Yeah, they don't have the mental things like Batman. Oh, I'm not going to kill. Even though Batman kills a lot of people, we're saying Batman has those rules where I don't use guns and I don't kill people. Exactly. Watchmen's not like that. They will. I mean, especially Rorschach, the best character I think out of Watchmen. No mercy, like Spawn. No mercy. Will fucking kill people if they need to be fucking put down.
That's why I like Deadpool.
Yeah, but Rorschach's so much cooler. His line in the fucking movie, and in the comic book that they did, men go to jail, dogs get put down, and then he fucking kills the guy. It was fucking great.
That's cool.
That's awesome. So, other responses we got.
Questions though. Thanks for the questions, guys.
Very good questions.
Awesome.
I hope to get more, very much, and especially more on your Instagram. On the Fly episode, we got very good podcast from the Clown Meat.
That's awesome. The Clown Meat?
The Clown Meat.
Like M-E-A-T or M-E-E-T?
M-E-A-T.
That's a cool name, too.
Yep. It's from the channel All Clowns Go to Heaven.
Right.
Great channel on YouTube. Another one that we got on our... Well, we had one person request to be on our podcast.
A what?
A person requested to be on our podcast.
To be on our podcast?
Yeah. That I no.
Well, unfortunately, we don't know you. Otherwise, we probably
I don't take
you
I don't take people on our podcast that we don't actually know in real life.
There's too many things that we don't know about, like who you are, what you're going to say, all that stuff. So we can't really predict how that's going to go.
Yeah.
Nothing against you. It's just I think it's pretty normal.
And another one from Kyle Thompson on YouTube said, just wanted to say that I'm really enjoying your guys' podcast so far.
Well, then this whole thing is worth it.
It is.
If one person can get enjoyment out of what we're doing right now, then awesome, because we're just sitting here having fun, right? So if somebody else can listen in and have fun with us, and that is so awesome.
I think this is, out of everything that I've done in probably the last 2 years, I will say, on YouTube, and I guess just social media in general, when creating content, I think this is the most fun I've had in the last 2 years.
That's really cool.
Is being able to do this podcast with someone that I know, especially. Yeah. I mean, we've known each other for almost 12 years.
Yeah.
Fuck. It's a long time.
Fast.
And we have a really funny backstory to our friendship that we could tell one day.
Yeah. We should totally tell that one day.
We need 300 listeners for that.
Yeah, let's do that. 300 listeners will tell the backstory.
We get 200 listeners, maybe we'll do a live stream.
Yeah. Because, actually, if you asked us back when we first were meeting each other that we would be as close as we are right now, I'd be like, what the fuck? No way.
Yeah. It's crazy. But in the last 2 years, this is the most fun that I think that I've had creating something because...
That's really cool.
It's...
I'm having a ton of fun too. This
it's-
is really fun.
And especially in the last year with the pandemic going on,
Yeah.
you can't fucking communicate or talk to people in real life.
I
You have to
know.
go through the computer screen with everything now.
Yep. Just people are just becoming so less connected.
Yeah.
But we, in this last few months, actually have become more connected,
Yeah.
which is cool.
Yeah. And I think that's the great dynamic, is because out of all the years I've been wanting to do podcasts, or I've done podcasts, and it's over the internet, it's not fun for me. I do not like having to have human interaction done through a computer screen.
It's totally different. Like
You can't feed off someone's emotion.
Exactly. Yeah.
You don't know.
And there's the whole thing too. Like when you're talking through the internet, there's this like kind of a slight delay. Like
it's like the dump button on the fucking radio.
Yeah. So like you're kind of talking over each other sometimes, and then you'll be like you'll both stop because you don't want to talk over each other, and there'll be a silence, and it's awkward and it's like choppy, and it's just not the same as like when you're one-to-one person. You feed off the other person's vibes. You understand, like you could make eye contact with them. You're not watching a computer screen. It's a ton better.
And atmosphere, I think also makes a huge difference. Like, I mean, this isn't a fucking studio.
No, this is cool though.
But
like, it's fun to look around.
This office has got a lot of shit in it.
Yeah, I like coming in here and just like you just like
this is
look at all the stuff.
This is our headquarters.
Stuff all around. And
it's our headquarters.
Look at. You got Myra right there, and
who
was that her name? Myra.
Elvira.
Yeah, I was close. Whatever. Myra's the chick from Looney Tunes, isn't it? The chick that liked all the pets and stuff.
Oh, fuck yeah! What was that chick's name? Is it Myra?
I thought it was Myra.
Is it from Tiny Toons?
Tiny Toons, yeah. Tiny Toons.
Oh, Elmira? Elmira.
Elmira, okay.
Elmira is a pain. Dang, I can't believe I remember that.
Yeah, you got a good memory, man. Way better than me.
But yeah, her whole thing was choking the cats till they like look like they're gonna die.
Yeah.
I'm gonna hug you and squeeze you.
I'm gonna hug you and love you. Yeah. The Animaniacs had a chick too that was like that.
She did. Or I think they were tied together. Wasn't it the same?
Animaniacs and
because they were Warner Brothers.
They were different. I think Animaniacs
but they're Warner
and
Brothers.
They're both Warner Brothers, right? But
I think they always there was crossover.
Were there? Maybe, man, possibly. Animaniacs was a great show too, but
they brought it back.
We're kind of going off on a tangent there. They brought it back.
They made Animaniacs last year. They brought it back.
Oh wow!
And it's like commentary, because satire and commentary on our political structure and cartoons.
Yeah. In
the 90s, but they brought it back in current times.
Hello, nurse.
Yeah.
See, that would be all sexist now, though.
But they didn't give a shit. I didn't watch the new episodes. From what I understand, though, is that they're exactly the same.
Oh, really?
And they
cool.
riff on our politics of today, including our exiting president.
Yeah.
So it's awesome.
Oh, that's cool.
Well, so final thoughts. You thought Hellraiser was
an 8, solid 8. Enjoyed it. Thought it was a definite horror movie. I would say this is, as far as the horror movies we've watched so far, this is the top horror movie as far as it is a horror movie, what I am expecting out of a horror movie. It's got the disturbing aspect. It's got an evil aspect. It's even got a different dimension aspect, right? So
there's a lot of undertones in the first one that you don't. It like I said, it sinks your hook. It hooks into you and wants you to.
Yeah, I definitely want to learn more about Pinhead. So I think the whole purpose of the movie was kind of that. It was kind of to lay the foundation and groundwork of it, and I'm excited to see the next one.
Yeah, I agree. I think if I were to look at it like arbitrarily and non-rose tinted, I would say still an 8. I would say it's an 8. So we got
the same score.
Yeah.
Okay.
I wouldn't say a 9 because there are parts of the story that what I noticed is that where there's scenes in it where it just kind of abruptly changes into something else, which is kind of confusing even for me today when I was watching it with you. I didn't say anything while we were watching it, but while one thing's happening and then all of a sudden it changes to Kirsty's nightmare about the person on the bed with the screaming baby, and all of a sudden it's back to normal, and all of a sudden she's walking down the alleyway, and then we're watching the Rose thing randomly, and then there's just a lot of things that kind of don't make coherent sense. That for me was just like, okay,
I can totally get that, because the first time I saw, when Frank was at the door when it was raining, I thought it was present day.
Yeah,
like
you were asking me.
Yeah, I was like, why is Frank there? I thought he was dead or went away, and you're like, oh, it's a flashback. It's a flashback. I wouldn't have known that unless you said it was a flashback. So there was definitely some aspects where they could have made it a little bit smoother in showing that this is the past or the whatever. Because I didn't pick up on it.
Yeah, and that's another thing I guess I can't really comment on because I didn't read the book. Maybe if you read the book, maybe that's in the book and you would know exactly what's going on immediately if you read the book.
Yeah.
I didn't. I want to. There's a lot of books I want to read that I haven't read yet, so...
Not me. There's a lot of books out there that I haven't read that I don't want to read.
The funny thing is, Hellraiser 1 and 2 are the only two that I own on VHS, and I will not buy any of the other ones unless they're under $1. Under. Which I don't normally see.
99 cents at the thrift store. That's where
But they have to be 50 cents for me to get them.
Under 51 cents then.
Yeah. For me to buy the sequels.
So you would never buy this on, or the 3rd through 10th one on VHS,
definitely wouldn't
DVD
buy,
or
no,
Blu-ray?
No, I only own the first one on DVD.
Okay.
I don't own any of the rest of them on DVD. I own the first two on VHS, and I would not ever buy the 9th or 10th one on anything. I think they are literally that bad.
I see.
That bad. Where I would not fucking own.
Alright, so we'll watch the second one, and we'll probably stop there then, huh?
Yeah, or we'll just go on a different movie altogether. But I think the second movie is fucking great. And honestly, for me, I don't think we should do a repeat episode.
Maybe a repeat episode.
Like a repeat of the franchise until maybe later.
Oh, you mean watch Hellraiser 2 and then go on to a completely different movie and not come back to Hellraiser till like a long...
I think we shouldn't come back.
I think that's a good idea too.
Yeah, I don't think we should come back to Hellraiser 2 until later.
So you want to do Hellraiser later on, not next podcast?
Yeah.
Okay, so what we don't even have a plan for next podcast then?
We don't. I mean...
Because what's funny is like everything that we've done is every podcast
we've always known.
Yeah, we're just like, this movie's cool, and then I'm like, yeah, I want this, or yeah, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. You showed me that thing. Let's do this.
I mean,
so, we don't know what we're doing next podcast.
We're in that weird time now. All the holidays are fucking over.
Yeah.
The only thing I can think of is fucking Valentine's Day that's coming up, which I already saw in fucking stores. A bunch of shit.
Valentine's Day, February, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there are Valentine's Day horror movies.
Oh, there are?
But we're not even in February.
Yeah, Valentine's Day is a bullshit holiday, too.
It's fucking retarded.
I figure that all the movies are going to be awful for that.
Except for My Bloody Valentine.
I was about to say that.
Have you seen that one?
No, I just know the movie.
Oh. I hate the original, to be honest with you. I think the remake's better. The original was so boring. So fucking boring. Like a killer minor.
Well, we got to think of something.
What am I in fucking Scooby-Doo?
Scooby-Doo?
Yeah, a killer minor.
Oh.
Minor 49er.
Well, we have to think of something for the next podcast. Like, we don't know what we're doing. I guess we don't need to figure it out right now.
I mean,
but it'd be cool to say right now, like, we're going to do this. So everybody knows.
I honestly want to show you either, and Brett doesn't have to decide right now. Maybe you guys can write to him on his fucking Instagram.
Yeah, there we go.
But I really want to show Brett Brain Scan.
I've never even heard of that.
Brain Scan has Edward Furlong.
I don't know who that is.
The kid from fucking Terminator 2.
Oh, the squeaky kids. Okay.
But he's more of a teenager now, so he doesn't have a stupid squeaky voice.
Uh-huh.
And do you remember Stay Alive? The movie I showed you about the killer video game?
Stay Alive, killer video game.
It has Frankie Muniz in it. They play the video game on the Xbox or the PlayStation 2. Yeah. And the video game kills them if they die.
Oh, yeah. You did show me that.
Do you remember that? You kind of remember it, at least. Well,
it was years ago that we watched it.
Yeah. Brain Scan's like the 90s version of that.
Okay.
Where Frankie Muniz plays a video game, and
it's a horror movie?
yeah, well, I have it on VHS.
Alright, show me the cover. Oh, it looks cool. Oh, that's cool. Okay.
It's either that or we want, I don't know. I have so many horror movies, and Brett's seen so little.
This would be cool because it's about video games, so we could definitely talk about video games in with it as well.
And there's so much stuff that I want to do with our podcast, and I know Brett wants to do too, where any video game or any horror movie that has some sort of video game adaptation, we want to do like something on a video standpoint where we play the fucking video game also.
Yeah, that'd be fun too.
Off that movie, like fucking Alien 3. Which has got a horrible game. But, I don't know. I don't really know what we can do for the next episode.
Well, this is good. Let's do Brain Scan.
We'll
do Brain Scan, and then we can talk about that, and probably throw in some other of our own video game knowledge into it.
All right. Brain Scan.
All right. So
it's our next episode.
Know, you guys know, and now we know.
1994.
Okay, so it was in the 90s.
Yep.
Awesome. I like 90s stuff.
Came out at the same time as Texas Chainsaw Next Generation.
Hopefully it's a little bit better than that.
I've seen it. It is better.
All right, cool.
I can verify that at least. All right. Well, episode 3.
Yeah, in the books, man. Three episodes down, 3 weeks in a row. That's pretty good.
That is really good. We're going strong. We're gonna go all the way.
Yeah, I'm excited because I'm surprised that we have this many listeners. Is really, really cool. It's cool that we just get to have fun like this, and then people get to listen to us and just listen to us having fun. So,
I think what it is, I don't think people are tuning in for me, because I think most people that watch this stuff know that the stuff I'm going to say is probably generic. It's stuff that they're thinking in their head already. Mm-hmm.
I'm the star of the show.
You are the star of the fucking show. I agree. You are the key. You are the key to unlock Pandora's box of fucking horror.
Just took somebody that knows nothing about horror movies to make it interesting.
I mean, I think that's... like I said, the joy and feeling I cannot express enough. Watching you watch this movie and seeing your reaction is what brings me to the excitement factor of watching it.
I can totally get that, though. Like, when I show a movie that I really enjoy, or a TV series that I really enjoy, and somebody else is watching it with me, it's like I'm watching it through their eyes sometimes, you know? So you kind of get to...
You get that second breath.
Yeah, so it's like, oh, this is a cool part coming up. I wonder what they're going to think about this. And then you see their reaction. You're like, yeah, that's what I felt too.
Well, episode 3, Due by Midnight podcast. And we're going to go out with Brett's favorite part of the movie of Hellraiser.
Yeah, what is that? Where he gets ripped apart?
The Cinephites find Frank.
All right, cool.
All right, guys. Have a good night.
Yeah, thanks for listening. I really appreciate it.
Frank, no. We have to hear it from your own lips. This isn't for your eyes. Set me up.
That's so fucking creepy.
It is.
I like how she just like, yeah, I said shut up. The knife falls perfectly on the floor.
Yeah.
What I always thought was weird is like I thought he was wearing the dad's skin. So why is that hurting him going through the skin?
Yeah, I don't know exactly. The whole wearing the dad's skin I didn't understand either.
I love Pinhead's expressionless face as this is happening. It's like, yeah.
I think that's what makes it more creepy, is because he doesn't necessarily even show that he's getting joy out of it or anything. He's just like, this is how it is. the tongue right here.
Jesus wept.
Yeah, there we go. Awesome. I like it because it has got all the chains in it. It freaking just rips them apart.
Oh my
It's
god,
cool.
that's fucking
Cool stuff.
awesome.